Yeah, one thing that really interested your take. I personally feel as if technology transfer, everything that's going on with space right now, I mean, it's certain in terms of the privatization of space. I mean, I think the market is just coming to NASA. I think that like the most exciting days that NASA is going to face are just about. I mean, the market's coming to you. I mean, this is really exciting times
Mhm.
that I see. I mean, just last night was a monumental event that happened with SpaceX. I mean, do you all feel that? You know, I mean, this is like what you all have been working for. I mean, it's really exciting.
So if you go back to the NACA days when NACA was helping people figure out how to fly, a lot of time we spent fixing the industry's learning pains, right? But if you could imagine you had to fly somewhere today, but you had to go buy your ticket from NASA, that wouldn't be the way you'd want to do it. So it's the same thing with space. If we're going to go to space, NASA doesn't want to be the only game in town. We want to enable industry and everyone to have access. So yes, we're in that second phase of flight, the space flights, trying to get that commercially normal.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, clearly, I'm not asking you to respond to this, but I can only imagine the stuff that you all are researching now. I mean, if like we're using the technologies today that you all were working on 10, 20 years ago, you know, it's fascinating to me. And, you know, it's exciting times to be alive.
So the law of marginal diminishing returns, you know, we make the big advances, but to make them standardized, reliable, that's a big push to get to that reliability level. So yeah, a lot of it is how do we just make this more routine? The shuttle we treated as if it was routine and it got us in trouble. So we're trying not to repeat that mistake. Everybody at NASA has to study the shuttle accidents and the things that led up to them so that we don't repeat those same mistakes.
Sure.
It's pretty interesting just to hear, oh yeah, we want multiple people in space. Just to hear that thought.
Well, to take that one step further, Zach, I mean, the reality is that when we were growing up, I mean, it was cool to be on an airplane. I mean, just to fly somewhere, and to think that our kids or anyone that's a child today, they're not just taking planes. They're going to travel to space. I mean, before their life is over, they're going to travel to space. I mean, to me, that's like uncomprehendable. I mean, it's bizarre.
There's a show on Amazon called Upload. I don't know if you guys have watched it. Tim, I feel like I've told you to watch it, but it's a show. It's a little weird to even grasp the concept, but it's basically right before you die, you can upload and this is a rom-com thing, but it's really just interesting. I don't know what made me think of this, but it's just like things that are unbelievable that are becoming believable. And so basically it takes your life and it puts you in this piece of software, and then you can still communicate with people as long as they pay the monthly subscription to keep it alive, if you will. And you're passed away, but up there, still living somehow, and you're still communicating with people down here. I mean, it's kind of, to me, as unbelievable as thinking that, you know, your kids are going to be able to go to space, and maybe someday we will too. Like, it's just like, wow, like this is, we don't have to like stuff on Facebook. We can actually go to space. This is cool.
I had a full circle experience with the space flight. My father passed away in June, and we were taking care of the arrangements, and they offered us 3 different space packages. Of course, he had already decided what he was going to do, but you could, for $12,500, have your ashes put out past the moon. For a lesser fee, you could have them put on the moon, and for an even lesser fee, you could just go into altitude called space. You know, you just barely into space, and that was pretty affordable. But yeah, it's definitely, commercial space flight is here. You can go to space, and and your ashes can.
Which one did you guys choose?
He was cremated. Dad was a plumber. He was very common sense. He doesn't need to have his ashes in space.
Hey, you never know.
Well, I mean, it just, as you think about, as more and more people go into space, I mean, you want to talk about entrepreneurial opportunities. I mean, it's just once everything starts to get rolling, I mean, where you got to make sure you have a place to order your pizza when you're on.
Well, who owns the airways?
So space law is a thing that's really becoming discussed a lot. The legal field, is a NASA patent, is a U.S. patent any good in space at all? That's one of the questions we've run into, and I'm not prepared to discuss that. So, but the questions are being considered by the attorneys across the world about this same question right now.
I love your answer, and I mean, I didn't know the answer, so I mean, it's just wild. Like, these are wild things to think about. Like, hell, like this is pretty wild.
Well, and that's why I think the tech transfer program is the market is coming to you, because as people really start to accept the fact that this is reality and this is where things are going, you have already done all the research that's available, so that if you need to use the handheld spectrometer to find out that the cheese for your pizza is still going to be good, or and healthy, that that's there for you to do it. So I don't know. It's fun to think about, and it's tough to wrap your head around.
In that vein, you kind of talked about this before. Like, some of the inventors have passed away 20 years ago. Like, are you guys building things that are unnecessary? Like, how do you guys decide, like, if there's a market, like from an actual developing of the product standpoint, like 436 things on your in your e-commerce site, basically, to say, hey, like, here's this thing. Like, how are you guys determining, like, what you think is going to be valid and not, and how often does it never get picked up?
So the work being done is driven by, the earmarked funds that are sent down, appropriated funds that say do this work for these broader programs, which break down into sub programs, and finally to, hey, we need a better sensor for this high temperature environment or something. So that's always the drive, is from our congressional assignments. We don't sit down and say, hey, can we invent something today that we can sell? That's not what we do. Now, we get many more inventions than we actually patent. In the past, we used to patent things because we could, and we thought we wanted people to know NASA was working in that area. Now we carefully consider, because patents cost NASA money. Some estimates are around $30,000 to get a patent, and it's about $15,000 more to maintain it throughout its life. So we have a extensive review that happens at the center and agency level to determine if a patent is necessary, because a patent is a limiting tool. It's a thing that limits who can practice something. It's not an enabling tool. When you get a license to a patent, that's simply an agreement. We won't prosecute you while you infringe, because if you're not the inventor and you're doing it, that's the definition of infringing. So everyone that's not the inventor needs a license. Actually, even our inventors do need licenses as well, because it's government-owned technology. Let me see, where was I going? So I liken it to, I'm a car guy, and if you're going to build a race car, it's only going to race on Talladega. You don't need to get a license plate for it, because it's never going to go on the street and be used to deliver pizzas or whatever we could use it for. So the only time we ever get a license is if, hey, we've determined this has got to go on the commercial streets, or it would be useful out there, and that we could potentially recover some of the expenses involved with the patenting. Now, I would estimate we don't recover everything we spend on tech transfer, because it's also our mission to transfer technologies. It's our marching orders from the Bayh-Dole Act and the Commercial Technology Transfer Acts, and things like that. So we put a lot of effort into determining. Then after we get the patent, every time a renewal fee comes up, we look at it again and say, has anybody ever been interested in this? Why should we renew this patent? And we're very critical about how we determine which ones we renew. It's an expensive thing to renew, and the budget, there's not necessarily a set aside for that. So it comes from painful places sometimes if we get too many of these renewal fees.
Yeah, and I think that just transferring, it's just knowing that the transfer program is available. I mean, it's especially as the market continues to heat up when it comes to space and what you're going to and business opportunities. I mean, so if you look back at 2011 to 2014. The VC money that went into space was $300 to $400 million. In 2015, it jumped up to $3 billion, and then last year, VC money that topped at $10 billion. So I mean, you're going from $300 to $400 million to $10 billion in such a short amount of time in 6 years. I mean, so more and more people are going to be thinking about how can I structure a business around space, and
I'm surprised there aren't venture capitalists saying, hey, I've got all this money I've got to invest. I've got 435 NASA patents here. Why don't I hire 10 engineers and tell them to find 10 patents and make 10 businesses out of it?
Right.
Because really, when you wait,
no one's told them that. Maybe they don't realize it. Maybe you guys have done a bad job of hiding it. Like, no, I mean, I'm being serious, right? It's the first thing I said was, it's the I don't know what word I use, but it's like you guys are hidden, right? And it's people are like, well, how do I do this? So maybe they don't know. So I mean, you heard it here first.
Yep. So the biggest challenge for our licensees typically is funding. Now, they can try to bootstrap, but we all know how hard that is. Unless you've got really deep pockets, that's going to be difficult, or a lot of rich friends. And then so you're stuck with, hey, I know what I need to do, but how do I find the money to do it? Also, typically they may not have a company yet. So we all know if you've got a company and you're generating some revenue, the venture capitalists will be more ready to give you more funding to scale that and make them some more money. But getting across what we call the valley of death from the invention to the profitability part requires a bridge of money. And that's difficult for many entrepreneurs to find. They don't know where to look. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how much they got to give up of their company. It's just a difficult thing to build the bridge as you're crossing it.
I've been directly involved within our entrepreneurial community for years. And the most common question I get is, Tim, I want to get involved, but I don't know what events I should attend. Well, StartWheel eliminates that pain point, because we consolidate all the events you should attend into a single calendar. Now you'll be in the know and see where to spend your time. Gone is the need to search multiple websites and calendars. Just head to startwheel.org and see for yourself. That's startwheel.org.